So we just had 3 new clients enroll into our core Done With You group coaching offer, our 6-figure accelerator coaching program. One of those clients just filled in their onboarding form today. And it got me thinking, I've never on this channel released a video before walking through our entire client onboarding process and our client management system. So I want to take some time here today to peel back the curtain and walk through all of this to help you dial in and optimize your client onboarding process and new client experience. What's going on, guys? Blake Fontana here. And before we get into today's topic on client onboarding and client management systems, I want to start by giving a little backstory on this topic first, point out a few things that is worth considering for those of you here watching that are working to get this in place in your own business. And then from there, peel back the curtain on our exact client onboarding process and our client management system. So in my experience of supporting coaches and taking their business from 5K months to 10K, 15K, and 20K months and beyond, usually the problem to start is typically around marketing and sales. Dialing in that conversion system to the point where that coach is consistently generating qualified leads and consistently converting those qualified leads into paying clients on a consistent monthly basis. Now, once that's solved, the next step from there typically is actually starting to dial in the client onboarding process, because especially as you start to enroll clients at scale and enroll more and more of them into your coaching program, it's very important for the sake of your headspace as the CEO, owner of the business, as well as for the sake of the experience of that new client coming in. It's important that we're actually strategically thinking about this and building out a process in a way that allows you to not have to worry about all the moving parts when a new client is enrolled into your offer, as well as offering that client a solid experience right away as they join the program. So a few things that I always like to consider when working with clients, and I have them kind of think backwards on as we're building this out together, is number one, for you right now, when you enroll a client into your offer, whatever that may be, what are the steps that need to take place after that point? What are some of the immediate steps that take place? Typically, this usually involves getting them access to a few different things. Maybe it's the community, maybe it's the training area, maybe it's something else, a certain document, etc. Along with that, it's also letting them know how to understand how to navigate everything, how to access the community, how to navigate through the training area, what training they should start with as they kick off, what form they should fill in to onboard them in the program or give you insight as a coach on exactly where they're at with their business or the problems that you solve. These are all things that as we look at them on a sheet, we can start to connect the dots and build out a system in a way that pulls them all together in a sequential fashion. So now let's dive into what that looks like for us, starting from step number 1. So to give you a live example of what this looks like, essentially after that payment is made, all of those steps are triggered via automation. And then from this point, they're being delivered an email that points them to one page, as mentioned. This page simply looks like this, where it's going to show them a quick step-by-step process to follow as a new member of the coaching program. So it says, hey, welcome to the program. Complete steps 1 through 3 to kick off your time as a new member in the coaching program. So from here, they're going to scroll down. They're going to go to number 1, our onboarding form. So they'll put in their information here, fill this in and submit this as step 1. From this point, they're going to next join our private coaching community and get access to this where we onboard them in there. So this directs them exactly where to go for this and points them to a relevant video walking them through exactly how to navigate the community and introduce them to the community from there. And then lastly from there, in step number 3, it's going to point them to our core training area for the coaching program itself, and in particular, taking them to a specific getting started module that we have for all new members coming in. So all of these 3 steps make it super, super easy for that new client to get the email. They don't have to go to a bunch of places. They go to one page to access the 3 core steps they need to follow first to get onboarded into the program itself. Once they complete this, they complete steps 1 through 3, and more importantly, they complete this onboarding form. This is where next steps for us are fired from that point. So what I'm actually going to do from here now is give you an inside look at our client management system and then kind of go full circle on this whole process from there. Now, as we get into the client management system, for the sake of privacy of our clients, I won't be revealing their information as well as photos of them. I will set this up and show it to you, but there's going to be a few things blurred out here as we do dive into this. All right, so as I share my screen here and jump into our client management dashboard, you're going to see a variety of different areas listed on this sheet. More importantly, at the very top, you're going to see this latest client that just filled in the onboarding form recently, as mentioned at the start of the video. And this all came about from the moment that he completed this form. So jumping back to this page that we were just on, as they go to this onboarding page and complete this onboarding form, automatically from this point, it creates a record in our client management sheet. And in turn, it shows, hey, this new client has come in, they've filled in the onboarding form. We then get a notification in our Slack channel to say, hey, new client just enrolled in 6FA, payment's been made, onboarding form has been completed, time for next steps. So this client record is automatically created for us. And all of the responses that was made, number 1 from the top, we can see a quick client image. So we have images of all of our clients saved in the record. So we know exactly who is who coming into the program. We can start getting familiar with what they look like. The name is listed. And then from there, aside from personal details on address and all that good stuff, so we can send them welcome gifts and welcome package, essentially all of their responses for the onboarding fields are all pre-recorded and saved for us in this sheet. So let's say, for example, I'm doing a one-to-one kickoff call with this client. This is super helpful to me in being able to assess and see exactly where that client's at, exactly what their offer currently is, what their ideal client currently is, what challenges they see that they're facing right now. All of this information where I'm getting a clear snapshot in their business in a very short period of time, so I can go in and be really efficient on that onboarding call with them and help them devise a plan of attack from that point. So this really helps me when I'm doing an audit on that client itself when they come into the program. You'll see this as part of our next steps. The point is, all of these responses from that onboarding form are saved in one clear spot for us. So all this is saved for us going forward. On the right here, we're actually able to communicate with myself and other members on our coaching team to where, let's say this client comes in, I have my one-to-one kickoff call with them, and I want to drop a note to another coach on team or to our team as a whole and say, hey, just completed the kickoff call. Here's the kickoff document, the action steps I assigned them, so on and so forth. Essentially, this is one spot for us to communicate in an organized place back and forth in that client to share wins, challenges, as well as notes in that client throughout their time in the program itself. So aside from having this clear breakdown of the responses from the onboarding form, one centralized spot for us to communicate on this client for the time in the program going forward, the other really nice benefit about this is the fact that, again, once that onboarding form is filled in, it is firing the additional onboarding subtasks that we know that we need to fulfill for that new client itself. So like I mentioned early on in the video, there's likely small additional tasks that you want to make sure is taken care of for that new client coming into the program. Some examples of this for us in this scenario here include these subtasks that come out right away, and then we have a few that drip in more as their time in the program continues. So number one, we want to make sure that this coaching contract is sent to be signed. So once this is sent out, first off, it triggers and reminds us, hey, to do this, so we don't have to think about it, and then we can come here and just mark this as complete. Next up, we have another subtask to basically create a shared drive folder for this client and set up their coaching log sheet. We use this to organize resources for clients in the program, to give them one spot to move these documents to, and then for us to also put in their onboarding kickoff call document inside this folder and go over this on the kickoff call itself. And then beyond that, we have a few additional subtasks listed that take place right away when that client's coming in, and a few more that drip out depending on their time and length in the program itself going forward. But for me, next up from there, I like to complete a marketing audit and assessment on that new client itself, reviewing their content, reviewing what I can see on the surface from their current marketing efforts. And then from there, I dive into the responses in the onboarding form. And for me, it gives me a very clear snapshot on exactly where that person's at in their business, what challenges they're facing, and where we need to put the focus going into our kickoff call itself. I'll have a few questions to ask going into the call, but more importantly, this saves us a ton of time and energy in having to take a whole 45 minutes to an hour long call covering all these questions. If I can be armed with this insight going into the call and get this data from them when onboarding into the program, along with doing a quick audit of their current process, now I'm able to be really efficient on that kickoff call with them. And then beyond that, we had a few additional subtasks listed again too as well for check-ins and follow-ups going forward in the program itself. But you can see how this really systemizes and simplifies the entire process for us. From the moment a client makes payment, they get sent an email. And once they get sent an email, they're automatically being granted access to our private coaching community and our private coaching training area. From that point, they get one email that points them to one page that breaks down, hey, follow this step, and this step. Fill in the onboarding form, dive into the community and create your account, and then dive into the training and watch these first videos next as a new member. This makes life easier for us, and it also allows us to offer a much greater initial onboarding experience for that new client coming in, so they know exactly how to access things, how to go about things, and what are the best next steps for them to follow to get started as a new member. And for me, the reason I built this system and took the time to create it and build it out to the level that it is now is because two things. Number one, I know from experience on my end and joining multiple different coaching programs, there's nothing I hate worse as a client than going into a program and getting a random invite to a Facebook community for the coaching program where I have to check the notification and catch it just in time to join. And then I get sent a bunch of links from that coach in my messenger inbox saying, hey, start here, go to this document, do this, do that. It gets very confusing for the client itself. And then on the side of being the coach, the one enrolling that client into your program, it's also very frustrating and overwhelming for you to have to always remember for every client, all these subtasks need to be taken care of to make sure that they are coming into the program with the best experience possible, and to also make sure that stuff isn't getting slipped through the cracks. And this is why the more that we can systemize this process, automate what we can in terms of granting access to things, as well as making it as simple as possible for that new client to follow when coming into the program. They're getting access to a lot of different things, and the more simplified we can make that for them, the easier it is for them to step in, start to actually fulfill these steps that we want to see them take action on as a new client, and to also kick off the program with a strong experience, feeling pumped up, feeling excited, and feeling really clear on where to go and what to do next. And to pair with that, another big reason behind why I wanted to build this system was to actually make it so it's templatized in a way where it can be imported into other businesses of coaches that we work with. So we can take this entire process and duplicate it in their own business. Now, for those of you here watching that are trying to make the first step in streamlining your client onboarding process, what I always recommend to start is, number one, make sure you have a client onboarding form. This can start as being a simple Google form, and use this form to get insight on all the questions or the areas that you need from that client coming into the program itself. This not only is beneficial for you going into the kickoff call or preparing a personalized strategy for that new client, but also for you to get very clear context on challenges, problems, where they're at with their business, etc., to help you with your marketing and your content going forward. Because there's no better source to look into in terms of data than the responses from paying clients in your program itself. So consider that for point number one. Point number two, make a simple Google document just breaking down step by step what you would like them to do as a new member in the program. You can link out to the training area, the community, etc., whatever you have for assets for them to dive into. But if you can just make a simple sequential step-by-step process for them in a simple Google document, and you give them a form in a Google Doc, that makes life a hell of a lot easier for them than sending them a bunch of links, inviting them to the community, and overwhelming them with a bunch of different information. Now, the one thing I didn't get to go into in detail in this video, aside from giving you a high-level look at our client onboarding process and our client management system, from the moment that a new client makes payment to the new client coming into the program itself, I did not get too deep into, obviously, here the automations that take place in between. So for those of you here watching that enjoy this video, number one, be sure to smash the thumbs up button, and if you've not yet already, hit that subscribe button before you go. But if you'd like to see another video from me coming out on part two of this, where I actually go into the setup of the automations to fire the email, to make sure that access to the community and the training area is granted, and all of the stuff in between, then let me know in the comments below and say part two in the comments, and I will work on that up next. Along with that, there's some other cool things that we have take place in this entire process through automation, including reminders from us, as mentioned before, in our Slack channel, is basically letting us know every point that that client's in this journey. So when they sign up, we get a notification that a new client is enrolled. When they fill in the onboarding form, we get a notification that onboarding form is completed. And then when they join the community, we also get a notification there just to make sure that that client is following through with the steps and they are getting set up with the program as we'd like them to be as a new member. So with that said, again, if you got value from this video, be sure to smash the thumbs up button before you go. And if you've not yet joined the community as well, our private Unleash CEOs Facebook community, where we have more insider training and we host weekly live trainings on topics related to this and much, much more to support you in growing your coaching business, be sure to click the link in the description below. Join the community, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside. With that said, that's a wrap for this video, and we'll see you back in the next one here very soon. Thanks for watching. See you guys.